So step one is I'm going to go to my camera, right, and I'm going to try to get a decent picture of my my drawing here. A lot of static electricity in the room today. All right, so don't just do it in a dark room, but turn on the lights in your bedroom, go to a light spot in the house, go somewhere where there's some light, go by a window, something like that, and then get a nice close picture of your drawing. Try to square it up. Don't do like a diagonal like this. Try to level your iPad so that it's square. And then be careful of shadows. See the way I'm casting a shadow on my drawing here? I don't want a shadow cast on my drawing. So I'm going to get my hand out of the way. I'm going to make sure the light is shining on my image. I'm going to bring it in here, and I'm going to take a picture. Perfect. All right, so that's step one. Okay, step two is I am going to look at that photograph and make sure that it's in focus. All right, so that's perfect. All right, so I'm going to give you a second. Go ahead and take a photograph of your image. All right. If you get your photograph taken, you can give me a thumbs up if you like. If you have a picture of your image. And again, this is where I'm saying, if you're not done completely with your drawing, take a picture of it. Just do it, right? You can always draw more in Procreate. You can do more contour line drawing in Procreate. You can do all sorts of amazing things with it. So let's get this thing into its next phase here, and let's keep moving forward. All right, this will help you with your background. You can add some color. You can do all sorts of great things with this. Right, and like I said, I'm recording this screen as well. So again, if you get behind in this, I will also post this video along with the other video. So it will help you, it'll help you through this process as well. All right, so I found my drawing here in my camera roll. So I need to do a couple things to it. I'm gonna hit the edit button. And the first thing I always do with drawings when I take a photograph of them with my iPad or with my camera or something like that is I'm gonna crop them. Right? Because I want to get rid of all the background here. I just want the drawing because I'm literally making a drawing here. So I'm going to click the cropping tool. I'm going to shrink this window down a little bit here. And I'm just going to get rid of everything that is not part of my drawing like that. All right, so that's step one. Crop your picture so that it fits in the window. Step two is we want our picture to be as black and white as possible. All right, I don't want a lot of gray. I don't want a lot of yellows, oranges, all sorts of different things. So I'm going to go to this second button here, and it's going to give me a bunch of different options. And you can see the way the color changes depending on what option, like warm and cool. But I just want black and white. So I'm going to go down to this thing that's called Noir here at the bottom. And Noir is going to give me a nice, crisp sort of black and white. It's going to take the color out, and it's going to fix it that way. Right, again, I want to try to avoid any of these other weirder, warmer, cooler colors here. So I'm going to go to Noir, and I'm going to be done. So step one was to crop it. So I cropped my picture so that it fit within the window like this. Step two was to go to those three circles. I went all the way to the bottom, and I said Noir at the bottom. If you still have color in your picture, you can try some other desaturating, some other things, adjusting the contrast and stuff. But this should do it for you. All right, so I'm going to say done. So there's my lovely, lovely picture that's prepared for Procreate. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Procreate. So if you don't have Procreate, you go to Self-Service. You can search for the word Procreate. Mine's right here at the top. And you should see this black square with a rainbow swoop. And I believe we all have this one already because we've worked with it a little bit before. But you need to reinstall, whatever, get that into your iPad. All right, and then Procreate is that little square, black square with the rainbow swoosh in it. I'm going to open up Procreate. And I'm going to see something. Oops. Oh, because I had mine was open. I'm going to see my window that's going to look like this. Okay. So in this window, I have some choices at the top up here. All right, I'm going to use my annotating feature here. Hopefully it will show up. So these are all my choices for starting a new project here, right? If you were just starting a blank page, you would use this one, but we are not. We are going to use this guy right here. We're going to use photo. All right, so I'm going to click on photo. I'm going to look for my recent photos here, and I'm going to select my drawing that I have right there. All right, so this will now open up a window that has my drawing in it. I can use 2 fingers, and I can pinch this window smaller. I can rotate it. I can move it around. So just like it was a piece of paper on my desk, I can sort of comfortably move it around as I'm taking a look at it. All right, so that's how we get this into Procreate. I can zoom way in, like if I'm going to do a small detail in here and I need to draw something small. I got it just like so. Okay, now, if I just started coloring on top of this, the problem is I would bury everything that I had that I'd already drawn, right? So if I take my tool here and I just start drawing, let's choose a, I don't know, let's choose a dark blue here. There we go. What's my brush look like? All right, if I just started to brush on top of this, I'm going to cover over it, and I'm going to use, let's use drawing. There we go. So I'm just drawing on top of my drawing here. No good, right? What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to teach you guys a technique here where you're actually going to draw underneath your drawing, right? You're going to actually do with layers here. Now you'll see one thing I'm doing here. I'm going to show you a couple tools here before we get going. Number one is as I'm drawing, you can see my undo. Like if I make a mistake, my undo button is right here in the bottom left-hand corner. You can also use 2 fingers, and you can tap your screen, and that will also get rid of that undo. And you can see the undo turns into a redo once it clears out and gets to the last undo in there. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2 is your drawing tool, right? So if you have a drawing tool here, let me show you this real quick with my camera. You can use your finger to draw. That's fine, right? Good old finger never lets us down, but sometimes it doesn't have much of a point on it. If you are an incoming freshman this year, you should have received in your incoming freshman kit, you should have received a pen that is also a stylus. So if you have that pen or that stylus, you can use that. If you do not have anything like that at all, remember this guy here, you can use this device. This is the one that I made. It's a pencil, all right, just an old number 2 pencil. I took some aluminum foil that I had laying around, and I molded it to the end of my eraser, and then I took a little bit of masking tape or scotch tape, whatever you got, and I taped it down so it didn't slide off the pencil. All right, and this works. This is a very acceptable drawing tool, and it works just like a stylus. The only problem is it just doesn't have a very fine point on it, and it's not like super pressure sensitive. But sometimes we just need something to draw with. So that's a great thing to draw with. And then some of you might be lucky enough. I did not buy this, but I got it from the school. This is like a fancy digital stylus that I'm using. Some of you may have an Apple Pencil or another stylus that you have, but those are good to help you draw. All right. So back to our drawing here with our styluses. So what we're going to do here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a layer to color on. So we're going to start working with layers here. All right, and layers are found right up here in the top underneath this double button right here. All right, if I click on that button, I can see here that when I imported my photograph came in as one layer, and then I have a background color below it here, okay? So what that's telling me right now is that my drawing, I can't see through my drawing. It's just sitting on top, and then the background is this particular color that's underneath. So the first thing we're going to do is just sort of a test, is we're going to change the color of our background. All right, so to do that, I just click on that layer that says background, and I can move this circle here to change the color, and then this is my tinting and shading circle here in the middle, where you can see this is adding white to it, this is adding black to it, and then this is adding the color up here, neutral up in the middle, and then this is a sort of mix in the middle. So I'm going to make a color here. It's sort of a lighter color. If you want to try picking colors a different way down here at the bottom, these are just different ways of choosing colors. I'm just going to use the old disc here, which is fine. Some people prefer the classic. All right, and I'm going to choose kind of like a nice goldish color like that. And I'm going to say done. So now you can see up here, right, that my background color has changed color. It's sort of a goldish color, and my drawing is still my drawing. right? It has not changed. So now you ask yourself, Mr. Horvath, how do I see? I thought we changed the background color, but the color of my drawing here is still white. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to fool the computer, and we're going to take a look at this little letter N that's right here. And what that N refers to is it's telling us that that layer is normal right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that N, and it's going to give me some choices. Now watch what happens when I just start to move up the list. Look at that. All right, you can use multiply. What multiply is going to do is multiply is going to allow all of the white of your paper. This is why we had to make our paper black and white. It's going to make all of the white of your paper clear-ish, right? Almost clear. And then it's going to leave the black or the darker tones alone, right? So that's why when we have this selected from normal, like that, to multiply, we're seeing through the drawing, right? We're seeing through the drawing as if the white paper was now invisible and the ink is the only thing that stays. And you can mess around with some of these as you get your drawing going. You can see it changes the properties of our drawing, all sorts of crazy stuff like that. Overlay, soft light, vivid light, blah, blah, blah. Yada, yada, yada. But for now, let's just start with multiply. Right? As you investigate and learn, you can figure those things out. All right, so let me clear that little circle up there, like so. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to draw, but like I said, if I started drawing, so I'm on layer 1 here, and I started drawing with my blue pen, I'm drawing on top of my drawing, which is no good. Okay? So let's go to undo. Let's choose a slightly lighter color here. Let's use green. Works a little better. All right, so there's my green. Green doesn't work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that color. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to say layers. I'm going to use this plus. Oops. This plus that's right up here in the corner. I'm going to add a layer. Okay? And I'm going to draw on this layer. All right, so if I look at my layers, you can see I drew on layer 2. So what am I going to do with that layer now? I'm going to take that layer, I'm going to hold on to it for a second with my pen, and I'm going to drag it down, and I'm going to drop it underneath. Look at that. Ooh, this is where you say ooh and ah. Oh, ah. Right? Now when I'm drawing behind that layer. Right? How cool is that? So now I don't have to worry about, I can stay in the lines, but I can also just sort of draw and add all sorts of color here. I can change the darkness of this color here. I can add some more stripes of color, just like that. Let's go back here. I'm going to add a little bit more here. You can go to town with this thing, just like that. So I'm just adding some stripes in the background like that, which is kind of cool. Now, if this color is too dark, I'm going to show you these guys over here. So this knob right here, right, is the size of your brush. Right? We talked about that before, but this is the size of your brush. So as I slide the slider up and down, I can make really big brush marks, or I can make smaller brush marks like that. I don't care for those. I'm going to get rid of those. All right. Then this down below, this guy down here, this little slider, is the opacity or the darkness of your ink. Right? So what that means is if I go to red over here like this, all right, and then I have a decent sized brush here, and if I paint like this, that line is really dark. Right? If I slide my slider down a little bit, that's a little bit lighter. I slide it down further, it's even lighter. If I slide it down towards the bottom, it's almost invisible. Okay? So those lines, that's the thickness or the darkness of your line. So that's like if you're pressing hard or not pressing hard, if you want your paint to be thick or you want it to be sort of watery. All right, so those are two important tools to know. And then those sliders also work the same for the eraser. So the two tools we have up here, one is your paintbrush. And again, I'm not going to go through all these. You can have some fun with these. These are really sort of interesting. Spray paint is kind of fun. This Flicks one is a good one here. All right, let's use Flicks and let's use like a blue. I'm going to clear these other marks here because I don't like those. But I'm going to go, look at that. How cool is that, right? So I'm just sort of splashing paint on there. I can get another shade of blue here, and I can splatter some more blue on here like this. I can make these brush marks bigger. So I can make them giant. I can make them small. And I can just spray a little bit of paint in some certain areas here like that. Right? So again, you're having some fun with that. This guy over here is the eraser. So here you can also erase. So if I want to choose a brush, I'm going to use that same, let's use splatter for this one. I'm going to use a different one for erasing. What I'm going to do here is, again, I'm going to check the size of my brush. That looks pretty good. I'm going to change the opacity here, and I'm going to erase. I'm erasing that I just sprayed on there so that I can start to see through. I can start to see my background layer, that gold layer again. So you can see I'm getting a really cool effect here, like almost like an ombre, but like a splattery sort of thing. Like it's really making an interesting texture in my drawing here. All right, so again, these two things that you need to know are the paintbrush here, right, and the eraser here. And there's other tools. You can investigate all that sort of good stuff, but those are sort of our two main tools there. All right, so now, as I'm adding color to this, and I'm adding some dimension and some design and some interesting things, I like this background. I don't want to mess with it, but I want to add more to it, but I don't want to ruin it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Layers menu again. Remember that Layers guy is right up here in the corner, right? And I'm going to, again, use this button here, right? And I'm going to add a layer. So here I have this layer, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to use maybe a complementary or another color on the opposite on the color wheel, and I'm going to start choosing like an orange color here. All right, so let's use this orangish color, which is great. I'm going to go back to my paintbrush, and I'm going to use something a little bit more, let's go painting here. I'm going to use, I don't know, some of these I don't even know. Let's use Tomorrow. I'm not even sure what that is, but let's use it. All right, I'm going to look at the size of my brush here. Almost looks like a fingerprint, maybe. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to make sure I'm in the right layer, right, because you can select different layers here. I'm on layer 3. I'm going to turn down the opacity of my brush here a little bit. And I'm just going to start to paint in this part of this hand here. And maybe that's even a little dark. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. And I'm going to paint. And the more I layer this, you can see it's making layers here. I'm not even going to worry about getting that exact right now. But I'm going to use this secondary color here to sort of bring back my hands. Because right now the stuff that I drew is getting lost in my background a little bit. So now I'm layering this color this way a little bit. Just like that. All right, and I can come back. I can lighten this color up a little bit. And I can put a little bit more in the hands here if I want to do that. Add some highlights here. I can make my brush a little smaller. Not too small. All right, I'll add some color up here in this guy. And I'm just sort of using my stylus. I don't think you can see my stylus. You know, you could try, I could sort of do this here so you can see my screen a little bit. Right, so I'm just sort of drawing here. With that, I'm going to change the color again. Maybe I'll highlight a little bit more over here and just put a few. So what I'm doing here is I'm just sort of using this color to kind of bring back my shapes a little bit. Then I'm going to choose a different color. Well, actually, maybe I'm going to do another layer. So that's my one layer here. And again, you can rearrange these layers. So that layer is behind that layer. It's in front of this layer. If I wanted to, I guess I could do something crazy here, and I could try some of these different color choices here. They're just a little bit strange. All right, so I have a different look on here. If I want to do that, I can go back to my original step here. I'm going to add another layer, like so. I'll leave it on the top here, that's fine. I'm going to go to maybe like a pinkish purple color here. I'm going to choose a different brush, not that it really matters, but let's do oil paint, see what that looks like. And I'm just going to sort of paint these headphones in here a little bit. All right, maybe I'll do the sleeves over here. That, you know, again, I'm thinking about balancing my color. I'm thinking about how my composition is all working together as I'm putting these colors together. Again, 2 fingers to pinch. I can zoom in a little bit if I want to. And then I know some of you, this is probably pulling upon your sensibilities where you're like, oh, Mr. Horvath, you're coloring out of the lines. You're driving us crazy. So I'm gonna make this brush a little smaller. I'm gonna use a lighter color up here, and I'm gonna start to paint in just some of this part here. I don't know if oil paint is the right paint for this, but with the right brush. I'm going to sort of smear that together here. I'm going to bring this guy over here. And I'm just starting to paint this in here. Let's put a little bit in here, put a little in here. All right, I'm going to go for a darker color like this, and I'm going to start painting in this part here. All right, like that. I'm going to go way dark down here. Paint in here. All right, I'm thinking about lights, and we'll talk about lights and shadows and highlights. Right now, you just sort of have some fun with this thing. Don't get too bogged down with realistic color and all that stuff. Just, you know, go with your gut a little bit. Okay, so I got this going here, which is nice, just like that. And then let's say I'm going to try one more layer here, and I'm going to say, oh, let's do something crazy with bright red here. All right, I'm going to change my brush up again one more time, and I'm going to go dry brush. And I'm going to squeeze this down here, and I'm going to start painting on my hand. All right, but let's say I don't like that. I can go to my layer here. I can slide over from the left, and I can say delete layer, just like that. All right, so that helps me to get rid of that particular layer if I don't like that style or that layer. Okay, so again, you're just sort of layering. I mean, that's the best thing about this. You have all these choices, right? Let's do something crazy with pink here. Let's go to my brushes. Let's go to, I mean, there's textures here. You can come down here to organic, and then these are like, you can paint, this one is like flower petals, daisies. This is called snow gum. This looks like leaves here too, something like that. Here, let's do spire. I don't even know what spires are. Let's draw some spires. Look at this guy. How cool is that, right? So you're just adding like, I'm just adding crazy texture to this thing, right? Just sort of splashing it on here. Trying changing the size of your brush. Here I'm going to go, that was rainforest, abstract. Yeah, these are just all, look at this guy down here. Let's try this one with like blue. I can't even see that one. Oh, there we go. That would be kind of a cool background, right? So for this one, maybe this is getting too much in the foreground. I'm going to go back a layer. And another layer too, right? So that way it could be on my hands. But maybe I won't put it on the hands. Right? Yeah, maybe I will. I don't know. Again, that's the cool thing about it. I'm going with it. I'm moving forward. I'm trying some different things out. All right, so what you're going to do is work on your drawing, right? You're going to try to import that drawing in there, and you're going to start adding some color. Now, there is one more step where we're going to start cutting and pasting some things that we find online. Here's another, this is one I did last hour too, another sample. You know, again, so thinking about different ways to complete the same drawing. So we are going to add some other background. You can see in some of the PlayStation logo floating around there. I'm going to show you how to add some other stuff to this. But for now, what I'd like you to do is just start adding some color. I'm going to give you got about 20 minutes or so, 15 minutes, is start adding some detail, start adding some color, and some texture, right? And the cool thing about this, again, is if you didn't finish your contour line drawing, I just go to contour line drawing, I go to drawing, or sketching, I think it was. Yeah, sketching. I can choose 6B pencil, right? I can make that 6B pencil, increase the size of that line a little bit. I can come up here and I can make this black, like that. And I can draw, here, let me hide. I can hide some of these guys here too. Right, I can draw more, oops, cancel. I gotta make sure I'm drawing in the right layer. There we go. Or I can put another layer on the top. And I can draw right on this layer. So I could draw more, you know, I could look at my hand. This pencil's a little bit thick. But I could draw another hand right on here if I didn't finish my contour line drawing. Right, so big bonus here. There you go, that's a little better. Because I'm drawing right on top here, so I can add more hands on this too. So then when I bring my colors back, just like that, I can then start adding color to this hand too. You know, I can go back in and work on it. Oh, that oil painting layer looked really cool. Look at that oil paint. Super cool. All right. So there you have it. So why don't you take a few minutes to draw, and then, well, actually, I'm going to show you this part because I'm recording this, so I just want to record it all right now. So then what you're going to do is once you're done, once you're done for the day, I'd like you to post an in progress of your drawing for me today. All right, so to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to this guy right up here is the wrench. All right, this little wrench action right here. You're going to say share, which is this little button right here. And then you're going to choose, for now, you're going to choose the JPEG format. All right, so those are the three buttons you're going to choose. You're going to say wrench, share, JPEG. Then it's going to ask you what you want to do with it. So it's saved it, but it's sort of like in a waiting spot. You're going to say save image. All right, I'm going to click save image. That's going to save it to your camera roll. So now when I look at your camera roll, or you look at your camera roll, there it is right here. I can see it. And then when I'm in Schoology today, and I go outside my folder, and I look inside 1015, I can see this discussion. I'm going to click on the discussion. I'm going to go here. Oh, here we go. Some people added. I'm going to say plus. I'm going to attach my image. So I'm going to choose from my library. Oh, the old recents. There it is. Check mark. Check mark. I'm going to toss my name in here. And I'm going to say check mark. There you go. So there's my picture. Okay? Any thoughts or concerns or questions about that? You guys are good to go. Clear my drawing.
I don't have Procreate, and it's not in the self-service.